Hey, sorry. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you at right now. So, I think today we are going to put hand on AAA lab. So, what's the AAA actually? So, AAA is a protocol that provides a scalable framework for implementing and ensuring network access security. So administrators use this protocol to control who can gain access to the network resources and track or audit their access. Uh, so if we say what's the component of AAA, or so the component is authentication, authorization, accounting, and auditing. It's the same thing. You can just say like accounting. So authorization, accounting, and authentication. What does AAA do? So AAA is a model that describes how to authenticate user accounts and control access resources, actually, sorry, and to audit network activity and ensure policy compliance. And also the AAA service is provided by dedicated servers and standard protocols such as radios and TACACS. I prefer to call it TACOS because it's more easy, I can remember. Alright, let me sign in my Windows 10. There we go. Let me throw this one. Oh yeah, so because we mentioned that radios and tacos, so actually radios and tacos are the two common AAA protocol, and there is good features on them, and there is like some differences between them. Like for example, that radios is for remote authentication, and it was developed as an open standard by Internet Engineering Task Force. And also, tacos use transport protocol, which is UDP, and it combines both authentication and authorization. But TACACS Plus it was developed by Cisco and supported by many vendors, and also it used TCP. It used transport protocol, which is TCP, and is separate authentication and authorization and accounting processes. Okay, and also the TACACS use TCP port, which is 49, and for radios use UDP port, as how we say 1812 and 1813, or 1645 and 1646. So port 1812 is used for authentication and authorization, which is combined two things. And port 1813 is used for accounting. Okay. You guys can see my screen. Okay, let me. Which lab? There we go. Okay. Cyber Network Security Labs. Okay. Let's give it. Oh yeah. Come on now. Stay gentle. Yeah. let me, I don't know if I do have it, but let me see. Download, yep, I have the packet tracer here. Oh, come on. Okay, I put it on a shared folder, which was on auto mount. So it's right here. I just press on it. And we're gonna start our lab. Yep. What's going on? Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, cybersecurity professional program, network security, secure management and access. Configure and verify AAA, AAA, whatever you want to call it. Okay, the lab objective, learn how to configure AAA, which is critical aspect of network hardening. Lab mission is to set up and configure an AAA server, radios and TACACS Plus, and configure and verify AAA on network devices. The lab duration we have from 60 to 90 minutes. I think 55 minutes we can get it done with the full explanation on each step. And the requirement is to have a knowledge of basic iOS and navigation, and knowledge of network device, SSH, which is a secure shell configuration, and knowledge of AAA concept. We just say what's the AAA concept and resources, Cisco Packet Tracer. Maybe there is some people who they don't have Cisco Packet Tracer, so I will show in another video that how you can download that for free, actually from the right source, which is Cisco Learning, and also they can provide you with 180 hours like free classes for cybersecurity, or maybe 20 hours for a packet tracer, and also they have a course for 2 hours for introduction to packet tracer when you are able to download a packet tracer and you can put hand on it, and and soon you finish, they can provide you with the proof that you finished the class. Okay, by the way, I'm gonna provide that on a link below, so if you wanna use it, you can go ahead and take it. Okay, lab materials include the lab document, file, open. We open our topology already. There's some step maybe you wanna do, maybe you come here, file, open, and you just pick it from your download or from your folders. Okay. Lab task 1. Verify connectivity in configure SSH. All devices in the lab are predefined with an IP and network settings, allowing you to easily navigate to the topology and identify the IP address configured for each device. To test AAA on a network device, you must configure a service that requires an authentication process such as SSH. 1. Examine the topology and familiarize yourself with the existing settings. Verify connectivity among all devices. Remember, all devices that operate on the data link can be verified, which is true. On switch number 1, create local. First, before we go to switch number 1, okay, here we go. We have an IP address right there for VLAN 1, which is 10.1.0.25. subnet mask 255.255.0, which is 24/24. Okay, I go switch number 2. We have another IP address right there for the VLAN is 10.2.0.25. And the same thing about switch 3 is 10.3.0.25. What about the router number 1? It's the same thing. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go to my switch and do that manually. Enable. You can use a shortcut, or you can just like write enable. Both of them work. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do show IP interface brief. Press enter. It's right there. That's my IP address. 10.1.0.25. Maybe you should write it down somewhere. Copy. Well, I'm gonna save it. It doesn't matter. I can use my. Okay. I go to the second switch and I check. Enable. Show interface. Show IP interface brief. So my IP address is 10. So I have 10.0. 10.2.0.25. Okay, and for the switch one it was 10.1.0.25. So let's try to ping switch number 1. We're in switch number 2, so we write 10.1.0.25. Let's see if you have any connectivity here. Okay, let's reping it again. See, we have 100%. Let's redo it again now. Double check. Okay. Let's go to switch number 1 and we check. So from switch number 1, I'm gonna ping switch number 2, which is ping 10.2.0.25. 100%. There we go. Also, they say verify on all devices. Okay, let me go to PC1. Desktop, protocol, IP config. I have an IP address which is 10.1.0.10. The PC4, desktop, command prompt, IP config, which is work. Let me take this IP address and then we ping it from another PC and we see. I take PC1, I go here, ping, does it work? Let's see. Huh, 25% lost. Alright, let's ping again. Now it's 100%. Redo it again. Okay, so we have connectivity on this topology already. Step number 3. On switch number 1, create a local user account with the following details: username, local admin, password, let mine. This user will be used as a failover in case the AA service is available. Okay. 4. Encrypt all plain text password on a device using the command service password / encryption. And for the 5th step is to set the switch number 1 domain name to cyber.local and enable SSH using a 1024 key length. Note, do not configure the VTY lines since you will enable AAA on them later. Okay, cool. So let's start with switch number 1. Config T, which is configure terminal. I do with the shortcut like that, and I do username, local, admin. Make sure to not leave any space. Here, password, let mine. Press enter, and then I do the service password. Oh, maybe it's a little bit smaller, so let me extract it like that. People them I can see. Service password, encryption. Service password encryption. Press enter, and then so the crypto key generate RSA. Ooh, must be a mistake here. Yep, mistyping. Always make sure that you type it the right way. Please define. Yep. IP, domain name, cyber.local first, and then crypto key general. Okay, we say is 1024, and press enter. Okay. Let's check here. Username, local admin, password let mine, service password encryption. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, IP domain /name cyber.local first, and then you can run the command that the crypto key generate RSA, and then is for 1024 bytes. Okay. Finish with this step. They say repeat step 3 to 5 on switch number 2 and switch number 3 and router number 1. So we did the switch number 1 here. Are we gonna go? So step 3, step 4, and step 5. Cool. Okay. So we go to switch number 2, same thing, configure, terminal, press enter, and username, local admin, password, let mine. Press enter, service password encryption, service password encryption, press enter, and gotta remember IP domain first, IP domain name, cyber dot local, press enter, and then the crypto key generate RSA, press enter. We say it's 1024, press enter, and we're good. Check. How many bytes? Oh, we're good. We go to switch number 3. Here is switch number 3. CLI, press enter, enable, configure terminal, username, local admin, password, let mine, press enter, service password encryption, press enter, and IP domain / name cyber dot local. Okay, cyber dot local, correct, press enter, and then we set up the crypto key as always, crypto key, generate RSA, say 1024 or 1024, what do you want to call it. Let's check here now. So switch number 3, so here, enable, configure terminal, username, local admin, service password encryption, IP domain name, right here, service cyber.local, crypto key generate 1024. Okay, now we go to the router number 1, and they want us to do the same thing. Okay, I go ahead, enable, configure terminal, username, local admin, password, let mine, press enter, service password encryption, I'm leaving some spaces like that on purpose so you guys can see it very well. Then I go to my IP domain name, we say is cyber dot local, press enter, and then the key, crypto key, generate RSA, press enter, and it will ask me how many bytes. I put 10, 24, press enter, and I'm done. Let's double check here. So you see it here. Enable, configure terminal, username local admin, service password encryption, IP domain name, crypto key, and we good. Next step, okay, lab test 2, set up the AAA server. For the network devices, to authenticate user, you must first enable AAA services and create a client and user account. The AAA server can use both Radius and TACACS. I call it TACACS because it's more easy for me. Protocols. Okay, click the AAA server, click the services tab, and enable AAA server. Okay, that's the AAA server here. Double click on it. I go to services, and I go to AAA, and I turn it on. Make sure it's 1645 the port. Create a client device account for each network device as follows. Client name, set up the device host name, set up the device IP address, and service type Radius for switches and TACACS for router. Okay, so the switches and the router IP address that we did check in the beginning, I did write it down on a piece of paper here so I can make it easy for me. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna do client name, switch 1, that's the client name for my switch, and the client IP it's 1.0.25. They want to put Cisco as a key, so I'm gonna put Cisco, and they want us to do Radius because it is a switch. I add it, okay? And switch number 2, the client IP is gonna be 10.2.0.25. Okay, and its Radius. The circuit key is gonna be Cisco, and we press add. The third client, it's router 1. The client IP for the router 1 is gonna be 10.3.0.1, and we switch to TACACS. The circuit is gonna be Cisco. Is it correct? Cisco, yep. And switch number 3 finally. The client IP is 10.3.0.25. And it's going to be on Radius, and the circuit is Cisco. And boom, I have the client name, client IP, server type, Radius, TACACS, and then the key. Okay. Double check here, everything is correct. Add for user's account with the following credentials. Okay. Ted, Robin, Lily, and Masha. So Teddy must be for switch number 1, Robin for switch number 2, and Lily for router number 1, and Masha for switch number 3. So yep, that's how we can do it. Ted, and the password is gonna be 11111. Okay. Second one's gonna be Robin, and the password is 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, and add. And for Lily, and the password is gonna be 3 and 3 and 3 and 3, and last one, smart shell. Oop. Make sure to put the credential correct and accurate. Otherwise, you won't be able to log in to your server. Password is 4444. Add. There we go. Okay. Lab task 3. Enable AAA on network devices. Once the server is configured and all devices and client accounts are properly added to the server, you can enable AAA on switches and routers. At the end of this part, for user tab SSH on switch number 1, the switch will ask AAA server if tab is allowed to access or no. Okay. We go to switch number 1, enable, configure, terminal. You can do it this way if you would like to. So here, configure a new model. You wanna copy paste. That's up to you. Come here, paste. Oh, okay. Let me do it manually. AAA new model. Press enter. Set the radio server IP address and the key. Refer to step number 2 in the previous task, which is this one here. Okay. So it's gonna be radius server, the host machine IP is 10.3.0.150. Providing the key is Cisco. Press enter. And then for backup purposes, configure AAA authentication on all devices lines, PTY and console, using radius as the primary method and local as the secondary method. Okay, say in here, using radius as the primary method and local as the secondary method. This is in the event the AAA server is unreachable. Otherwise, the user be locked out of the device. Okay? Oh. This is that's funny. Logical audio. Zoom in. Okay, I'm zooming in. Running left to right. Okay. Service password encryption. Really? Huh. Okay, so we might end up doing it again. AAA, new model. Press enter. An SSH has been established. Okay, which is, we don't have to do it. We just like gotta do it from the way where we left it. It's gonna be this command here. AAA. Oh, it's on there. authentication, login, default, group, radius, local. And for the last command, it's gonna be AAA authentication. Those two last commands, they look like similar, but pay attention. One for login and one for enable. Login and enable. Default, group, radius, local. Press enter and boom, exit. Okay. Huh. I see. Yep, that's what I stopped, but it's fine. No. This is false, actually. Okay. Switch number 1. I'll do the same thing here. AAA. No. Stop on what you server host. Key. Okay. So I'm back here. AAA. Authentication. Login, default, group, radius, local. Press enter, and then finally AAA authentication, enable again, default, group, radius, local. Press enter. I will back to the router number 1 and fix the mistake that I made. I go ahead, enable, configure terminal, and I come AAA new model, press enter, then radius, server, host 10.3.0.150, and providing the key is Cisco. Press enter. Then I go AAA authentication, login, default, group, radius, local. Correct. Press enter. AAA, authentication, enable, default, group, radius, local. Press enter. I'll go to my switch number 3. That's the previous configuration that we did to it, which is mean we still need to do the enable AAA on switch number 3. So enable, configure terminal, AAA new model, radius, server, the host IP address is 10.3.0.150 with the key. It's gonna be Cisco. Press enter, and then AAA authentication, login, default, group, radius, local. Okay, the last one, I just need to change enable and press enter, and I'm done with it. So now I'm gonna go to my router. They say it has been enabled. Yep. Okay, then we're going to let's do this one. Go. TACACS. 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 Server. Host. Machine IP address. Gonna be 10.3.0.150, and the key gonna be Cisco, and press enter. Okay. Forget the configure terminal. TACACS, server, host, IP address is 10.3.0.150, and the key is Cisco. Press enter. So it did take it, which is that we did not do it before. AAA authentication, login, default, group, TACACS, plus, don't forget the plus sign, and local. Press enter. And then finally, we're gonna do AAA authentication enable default group TACACS plus local. And we press enter. Okay, switch number 2, switch number 3. There we go. That's the process that we did. So on router number 1, we enabled the new model. At the second step, set the TACACS plus service IP address and key refer to step in previous task, which is, we did it right here. And for backup purposes, configure AAA authentication on all devices using TACACS plus as the primary method and local as the secondary method. We did that right here. And for the last step here that we did, for backup purposes, configure AAA authentication for privileges using TACACS plus as the primary method and local as the secondary method. And hit exit. Boom. Let's see what's next. Okay, I go back to my switch number 1, and they want us to check all devices if configured correctly or there is anything missing that we need to add on. Yep. Come here, exit. Okay, show, running, config. Press enter. There we go. That's on switch number 1. Show running config. Okay, that's how you see. Hostname switch number 1, AAA new model, and AA authentication login default group radius local, and AA authentication enable default group radius local, which is correct. Press enter. Double click again. Press enter. I have an IP domain cyber.local, which is correct. Username local admin privilege and password, wow, which is interesting. Okay, it's right here. That's the same one that we see in. We press another enter. Interfaces all the way down. Right here, interface VLAN 1. IP address is 10.1.0.25.255.255, which is /24. The IP gateway is 10.1.0.1, which is correct. Radio server host. Authentication port. Yeah, 1645. If you remember when we did this lab, we did not write anything as authentication port for 1645. So what does 1645 mean and where it came from? 1645, okay, this is the AAA AAA server port, and it's used to receive authentication requests. And this is actually the 1645 authentication port is added by default. It's added by default. Let's see on the other switches and on the router as well too. So on switch number 1, I come here, press exit. Okay, make sure show, running, config. Press enter. Same thing. AA new model, authentication, enable, login, IP domain server.local. The password is here. Enter all the way down. Keep pressing enter. Interface v.1, 10.2.0.25/24, 255.55.0. The gateway is 10.2.0.1, and radio server host, the same thing, authentication port. This is the port is used by the AAA server to receive authentication request and is added by default. Okay, let's check on switch number 3. I put exit. Okay, show, running, config. Press enter. See, IP, cyber.local. Keep pressing enter. Default gateway IP address, VLAN1, radio servers, authentication port. Same thing. So keep pressing enter. End. Okay. All devices. To verify our setting, we still have the router. It's gonna go exit. Oop. What's going on? Okay. Show, running, config. Press enter. Up. AAA, TACACS plus. Okay. The other one, radius. Keep pressing enter. Next. Then we're all set for this step. Okay. They want us to save the configuration and reload all devices. Example, they will give us example on switch number 1. And we have to do it on switch number 1 and number 2 and number 3. And we do the router as well. So I go to switch number 1. And I do copy, running, /config, start up, /config, press enter. Press another enter, say okay, yeah, reload. I confirm. It's reloading now. Sorry about that. Okay. Now username is gonna be Ted. This is the third step. Right here. Ted. Press enter. And it was 1. Enter. That's it. Tip. Here we go. I have it here. The IA process can take some time, so use the fast forward feature to speed up the process. It's okay. No, it's all good. Let me go and check. Oh. Let me go and save my work on switch number 2. Okay, now we go copy running config, copy, running, config, start up, config. I press enter, say yes, reload. I press enter, I confirm. Okay. Okay. Now they're asking for username, Robin. The password is going to be 2 and 2 and 2 and 2, and enter. There we go. And switch number 3. Let me go to copy, running, config, start up, config, and I press, oop. Oh yeah, I see why. Running. ing in the end here. I forgot the G. Press enter. Yes, I confirm. Reload. Okay, yeah, I confirm. Okay, so switch number 3, it must belong to Marshall, yep. Marshall, and it was 3 and 3 and 3 and 3, and enter. Ah. Yeah, Marshall. Oh no, actually it's 4 and 4 and 4. Yep. Marshall. Enter. Maybe 4, 4, 4, 4, enter. There we go. Working. Ah. Now I gotta go to my router. I go to my router. Go copy. Running. Config. Start up. Config. Correct? Yes. Reload. I confirm. Yes, I press to get started. So the username is going to be Lily. Press enter. The password 3333, enter. A second. Ah. Why Lily? Lily? Oh. Crap. It's going to be 3333. Enter. There we go. Now you're working. Okay. What next? Okay. So from PC1, open SSH session to router 1 using Lily user credential from a PC2. So from a PC1, which is this one, we're gonna open an SSH session to the router 1 using the credential that we did for router 1, which is Lily, and I'm assuming the password is 3333. So let's do it. I don't want this. Oh, no. I go to, yeah, SSH. This is give you two options, SSH or Telnet. That's an SSH. Host name or IP address, which is host name and IP address, host name and IP address. Yep. Host name and address. Yep. I can put the IP address and I can put router 1, either one. I'm gonna go with the easiest one, router 1. Username is Lily, and I connect. I'm there. What's the other one? And from a PC2, which is PC2, use SSH session to switch number 3. So from PC2, I'm gonna go to switch number 3. I go here. Desktop. I go to SSH and switch number 3. The name, it must be Marshall. Yep. Marshall. No, actually, switch 3. Marshall as a username. Connect. There we go. Successfully. Now we finish with this lab, and for the next lab, network security labs, we're gonna work on 8.2.1x authentication, which is very nice lab. Setup radius with this authentication for Office 1 and Office 2. We have some resources on this lab, and we're gonna enjoy it, I guess. See you next lab. Thank you.